This season, Instacart has your back to school. As in, they've got your back to school lunch favorites like snack packs and fresh fruit. And they've got your back to school supplies like backpacks, binders, and pencils. And they've got your back when your kid casually tells you they have a huge school project due tomorrow. Let's face it, we were all that kid. So first, call your parents to say, I'm sorry. And then download the Instacart app to get delivery in as fast as 30 minutes all school year long. Get a $0 delivery fee for your first 3 orders while supplies last. Minimum $10 per order. Additional terms apply.
Hey, fantasy football owners, I'm Matt Harmon.
And what's cracking? I'm James Coe. Join us on Reception Perception as we dive deep into wide receivers, the position that will make or break your fantasy team.
Follow and listen to Reception Perception on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
We are joined by Michelle Gardner.
This season, Instacart has your back to school. As in, they've got your back to school lunch favorites like snack packs and fresh fruit. And they've got your back to school supplies like backpacks, binders, and pencils. And they've got your back when your kid casually tells you they have a huge school project due tomorrow. Let's face it, we were all that kid. So first, call your parents to say, I'm sorry. And then download the Instacart app to get delivery in as fast as 30 minutes all school year long. Get a $0 delivery fee for your first 3 orders while supplies last. Minimum $10 per order. Additional terms apply.
Hey, fantasy football owners, the road to winning your fantasy football championship starts now. I'm Matt Harmon from Reception Perception. Join me and James Coe as we take a deep dive into the position that's going to make or break your fantasy roster. Wide receivers. We analyze route running, target share, and all the metrics that matter, giving you the insights you need to draft the best wide receivers. As you prep for your draft, let us give you the coverage you need. Follow and listen to Reception Perception on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
From the Arizona Republic. She covers Arizona State athletics, and we are right around the corner from the start of football play. The Sun Devils hosting Wyoming coming up on August 31st. Michelle, thank you. How are you?
I'm great.
So this is a team coming off a difficult year under a first-year head coach who's now a second-year head coach, and Kenny Dillingham. What has he done? What has he accomplished to make Arizona State a more representative and better football team?
Well, I think one thing, when you talk about last year, I know everybody has injuries and you got to get past them, but on paper, it looked really bad at 3-9. They really could have been 6-6. There were probably 4 games that they should have won. But last year, they had 31 players injured, and they missed a total of 143 games. They had 9 offensive linemen injured last year. And we're not talking guys that went down for 1 or 2 games. Guys were going down for 5, 6, 7 games. So, and then they got to the tough part of their schedule at the end when they're playing Utah and Oregon, and they were just completely decimated to the point where they couldn't even have a regular practice because they didn't have enough guys to practice. So I think that there's just a positive mentality around the team. They've upgraded. The only position I don't think they're better than last year might be tight end. So they've upgraded talent at every position. But Kenny's just a really positive, energetic guy, like 24/7. We always say that he never takes a second off. He is going full throttle every minute, every day, and it's a contagious energy that I think he's brought to the team. And him being young, at 34 years old, the youngest coach in college football, Power 5 program, I think he's got a dynamic that is missing sometimes because he can identify with these kids because he's basically a big kid.
Well, what's the buzz like? Obviously, going now into the Big 12, coming off a rough year, it's got to feel like almost a brand new start. And like I said, what's the buzz like, or is there any buzz? And is it exciting? Is people within the program happy about it? Just give us a little rundown of what the feedback's been about coming to the Big 12.
I think they're embracing it as a fresh start for sure. When you look at the Pac-12, you had your Oregons, your Utahs, your USC, teams that on most years are that much better than everybody else, and there seemed to be a drop-off, after those first few teams. But I think that there's more balance in the Big 12. And yes, you have a couple of very good, solid football programs, but I think there's a lot better balance. So I think they feel like they can compete. I'm not saying they're gonna win the Big 12 title or anything. I think for this team, where they're at now in the second year of a program, I think they can go 500. I don't think that is out of reach. But I think, when you get a new coach and you're taking over a program that was where this program was, and you've got to remember, too, that Kenny Dillingham had sanctions on the program from the previous regime. So, you almost kind of have to give him a pass in the first year because he wasn't basically playing with a full deck. He was still hampered by sanctions and the recruiting thing. So they're just getting past that this year. So I think the move to the new conference, having the sanctions, the investigation, that cloud over the program gone, having a new athletic director that's got the same kind of energy and passion that Kenny does, I think that ASU faithful are just happy to have this behind them. And yes, I think there is a little bit of a buzz, a little bit of an excitement that there hasn't been in many years because of those issues.
So they didn't quite figure out the quarterback position last year. They played a bunch of guys there, although, to be fair, there was one primary starter. They bring in Sam Levitt, a guy who played just a little bit for Michigan State last year as a freshman. How hopeful is Dillingham and the rest of the coaching staff that he can be kind of the answer there and more of a permanent solution?
Well, it's not a foregone conclusion. It's going to be him now. The other guy vying for it is Jeff Sims, the transfer from Nebraska. Jeff Sims had a phenomenal practice a couple of days ago, hit some deep balls that just were perfectly thrown spirals to, he's really come on. I wouldn't have thought he had a chance because he also wasn't here in the spring, and Dillingham had pretty much said that it was Levitt's job, at the end of spring, that he kind of maybe had the edge there. But Sims has kind of come on. So basically it's a quarterback battle between those two. And today, neither one of them was particularly sharp. So I don't think either one of them has separated themselves from the other. So I think it'll probably go down to the final week. I think he'll have to make a decision when you're a week out from your opener. But I don't see that decision coming anytime soon. And the thing with Jeff Sims is you look at the guy and he looks the part of a quarterback. He's a solid 6'3", has a great arm, great mobility, and mobility is something that they lacked at quarterback last year. But Dillingham has said several times that with Jeff Sims, you get 85% of the time he makes freakish plays and you're going, holy cow. And then the other 15% of the time he'll make a catastrophic play that can cost you the game. So he said, with him, it's how do you cut those plays out that can be catastrophic. So I think we're going to see this battle go another 2 weeks.
Michelle Gardner, our guest from the Arizona Republic. We are looking at the Arizona State Sun Devils Big 12 football preview. You mentioned it, the quarterback battle maybe taking a turn that you didn't expect. With the transfer portal now, it's very tough to know exactly what we're looking at as journalists from year to year because you can't really gauge it against what happened last year. It's so dependent upon who comes in via the transfer portal. And I know that Arizona State's pretty excited about some of their guys, especially defensively.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. And I think, Kenny said that it is not what you want to have this much turnover year to year, and they have had it the last 2 years. But you get that when you have a coaching change, and you get that when you're coming off the sanctions and the investigation and just where the program was at. So he doesn't think, he hopes and doesn't think that it's going to be the case they're going to have this much turnover year to year. The school's NIL program has gotten better. They were lagging behind most teams. It was bad Their former athletic director didn't necessarily embrace that part of it, and so they were kind of behind the curve when it came to that. So they're trying to play catch up there, and they lost a lot of very good players because of that. So I don't think we're going to have the transfer portal action for ASU in the next year like you had the last 2 years, and I guess you hope not. They do have some very good younger players that have come into the program, and they've got a pretty good recruiting class for next year. So I don't think they want to rely on that as much as they've had to, but it's just where the program was at that time.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you about NIL because, obviously every player, every student has their own priorities, but Arizona State is such a destination for college students in general that it seems like that'd be a real way that they could maybe make up some of the ground that they don't have already in the Big 12 and in the Power 5 world. Is that something that they're focused on? Just get these kids to a place where they're comfortable, and hey, we can build a team that way.
Absolutely. And I think we've kind of, not to change the subject, but we've kind of seen that in basketball a little bit. They've got the number 2 recruiting class in the country. And when you've got Bobby Hurley for your head coach, Bobby Hurley needs to press being Bobby Hurley, and he needs to leverage being Bobby Hurley. If he was to his detriment, he didn't do that right away. And he has done that in the last year, and that's why they are where they are in basketball. So I think that they're going to have to keep doing that and keep making strides in football. I don't think that they're ever going to be the top of echelon of the Big 12. I know how passionate and those fan bases are and the donors are there. So I don't know that they can ever be in the upper echelon of the conference when it comes to that. But they can certainly be in the game. And then the other thing with the NIL, the problem with that was that under the old athletic director, Ray Anderson, people were so upset about Ray Anderson because it was he that hired Herm Edwards, and obviously the train went off the track badly there. So it was Anderson that brought in Herm, and then everything went haywire. So a lot of the alumni, the fan base was just really upset with Anderson, and there were donors that refused to donate. There were people that didn't want to give to the collective because they thought that was endorsing the athletic director, whom they hated. And he finally stepped aside in November. So I would say in the last year and a half to 2 years, I mean, everybody wanted Anderson. They wanted him gone for 3-4 years, and he refused to step aside. So I think that was a very big problem because the fan base says if we donate to the collective, we're endorsing the administration, and they don't like Michael Crow either. So it's kind of a double-edged sword there where you kind of can't grow your NIL program when you've got an athletic director that's a polarizing figure. So that's been a huge problem in the last 2 years that they are just now trying to get past.
Well, you've hit it out of the park. We appreciate all your insight into Arizona State football and athletics. Who would have thought, Michelle, that you'd be doing an interview with a bunch of guys from Wichita talking about Arizona State and the Big 12, huh?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you one thing, and we'll see how it pans out, but I can say this. The one thing that we got spoiled with in the Pac-12, it was a pretty easy travel conference. I mean, you could get to L.A. in an hour. You can get to the Bay Area when you're covering Stanford or Cal. Utah is an easy trip. For the other teams coming down here, you got a great airport in Phoenix where you can get to ASU and Arizona. So basically, with Pullman and Washington State notwithstanding, the travel in the Pac-12 was pretty easy. And I know it's not that easy in the Big 12 because I've already tried to book some trips. So I'm kind of
how have you mapped out your Morgantown trip?
Yeah, that's a good one.
We don't have that one. Okay, so we don't have that one yet. Okay, I know what you mean. I've tried to get. I've booked my Lubbock trip to Texas Tech, and I've booked my Oklahoma State trip. But again, you're talking flying into places where you fly in somewhere and then have to drive an hour and a half. So I'm looking at my Sunday. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I was going to say, just wait till you see.
Your Friday and your Sunday are now an all-day travel day instead of being able to be home in an hour. So that's the bad part of the Big 12. But I am looking forward to seeing the fan bases and seeing new campuses and people that are passionate about college football.
Well, I'm going to try this. It's a little late, but wait till you see the scenery in Ames. You'll love it. Michelle, thank you. We appreciate your time.
Okay.
We appreciate your time.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for coming on with us.
Anytime.
Trying to figure out what to eat for dinner yet again? With Knorr sides and bouillon as your not-so-secret ingredient, you can skip the drive-thru and do dinner at home. Knorr Taste Combos provide a menu of delicious, affordable, and well-balanced meals that you can prepare in 30 minutes or less. Visit Knorr.com to get quick and easy recipe ideas for your home-cooked weeknight dinners. It's not fast food, but it's so good.
It's a great day to venture out in a spacious and capable Toyota SUV. Like the new RAV4. With available all-wheel drive, it can go just about anywhere. And with plenty of passenger and cargo space, you'll go from morning carpool to weekend road trip without missing a beat. Plus, with available features like wireless charging and a touchscreen interface, your Toyota RAV4 will keep you connected no matter where you're going. Or check out a spacious Highlander. With seating for up to 8, it's a hub for family adventure. You'll drive in comfort and style with available heated and ventilated seats and all the latest tech. And with available hybrid models, your new Highlander can save you tons on gas. Right now, your local Toyota dealer has more vehicles in stock and is making delivery on new vehicles almost every day. So don't wait. Buy a RAV4 or Highlander today. Visit buyatoyota.com for deals and more. Toyota. Let's go places.
Hey, fantasy football owners, I'm Matt Harmon.
And what's cracking? I'm James Coe. Join us on Reception Perception as we dive deep into wide receivers, the position that will make or break your fantasy team.
Follow and listen to Reception Perception on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.